Okay, so thank you for coming. This is building membership. I'm Don Munks. Okay, so for those of you, and I see a few that were here last time, we already talked a lot about this, but candidates, how do we attract good men? Where are you going to find them?
Anywhere.
Anywhere?
It could be anywhere, but it's interesting. How do you attract good men?
Right. Okay, so there's the point. Good men. You walk out on the street, and the first man you come to, if you stop him, do you know if he's a good man? You don't know him. You know nothing about him. But if you go to a friend's home that you know and have known for some time, you pretty much know whether he's going to be a good man or not. And through the investigation, you can make sure that your thinking was correct. Okay? So, the old adage was, back in my dad's time, my granddad's time, you had to be asked 3 times before you could tell somebody about masonry. We don't do that anymore. You can go talk to anybody about masonry today. The only thing you can't do is walk up to them and say, you're going to join my lodge and here's a petition. Okay? Even though my father-in-law did that to me. But you can't do that. But you can go up and say, because you've got square and compass symbols on and so forth, hey, you know, I got this big event coming up. You ought to come take a look at it. It's really going to be cool. This is a fundraiser that our lodge is doing for Meals on Wheels or whatever. And we're going to donate all this money to that cause. And start talking. And you go, you know, I know you well enough to know that you would be a good mason. And then if he asks, well, how do you become one? You got it? Okay? It's that simple. But we've got to do it. We, me included. Because I don't do it. You know, there's times when I have, but we have to go out and do that. If we're going to get a buildup of good, quality men, it's not about gaining all kinds of numbers. It's about gaining good men into our fraternity. Lodge activity, advertising, community service, all of these things affect how the public's going to look at us. If we're introverted within our lodge, nobody's going to know even who we are. And you go to most towns, cities, you ask where the Masonic Lodge is, and nobody has a clue. In Anacortes, Fidalgo 77 is my lodge, my home lodge. When I was master, I went down Commercial Avenue, went in and talked to every single business person and asked them where the Masonic Lodge was. There were only a few that knew where it was. And they had this real funny descriptive of what it was.
Even if they were renting from you, they didn't.
Yeah, well, Qantas members.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, is that? Yeah, that is a Masonic Lodge we're going to. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay. So, the communities don't know who we are because we're not out in the community anymore. We've quit doing those things. We've got to be more active out in the community. I don't care what it is, but what you do that gets you out in front of the committee, you need to have signage. I mean not billboard signs with a square and compass on it, but men walking with shirts that have square and compass, or hats that have square and compasses, in your parades, your regalia that you can walk in, your aprons and collars and so forth. You have to promote yourself, Freemasonry, the outside world, to get them to start asking questions. programs, open houses, do programs that invite law enforcement, firefighters, community leaders, anything into your lodges. Have not an expensive meal or anything like that, but finger foods, you know, stuff that isn't going to cost a whole lot, and just have it a mingle session within your lodge. Have the organizations give you names of those officers or workers or whatever that have done outstanding service, and pick a person that you're going to make this award to. Plaques don't cost very much. You can make them look really, really nice. For somebody that's done a service and didn't do it to get the prestige for it, having a plaque to hang up at home in the den or whatever is really nice. Okay? Find ways that you're going to attract them in. Get them up into the lodge when you make the presentation. Do the little finger foods and mingling and talking. Have the brothers. Make sure you have brothers there. Don't do this and have 3 brothers downstairs. That doesn't work. But get the brothers there. Get them talking. Get the recipient upstairs with their family. Advertise it in the local newspaper. Get the public there for this thing you're going to do. Make your presentation. Be off session. Bible's open, the lights are on. Hey, they're seeing everything. Okay?
I may throw in there, like my introduction to masonry was an open installation.
Yep, me too.
So what was your thought when you went to that open installation?
Impress very much.
There's a lot to memorize, that's what I was thinking. But it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Tuxes, regalia.
Yeah, we're fine.
Mm-hmm. It is impressive. Do your programs in your community, but also do programs within your lodge. Don't forget about the members you already have. Don't have them be forgotten, your past masters or your younger members or whatever. There is this real difficult balance that we have between those that are 70 and above, those that are 50 to 70, those that are 30 to 50, and those that are 18 to 30. Because each group thinks differently. Each group acts differently. And if we went around the lodge and we asked young and we asked old, young and old, you got the young one sitting right behind you, and we asked about the thought process, I know it would be a lot different. Maybe your view of masonry would be the same. But your thought process and what you do at home and everything else is going to be completely different. Use technology. It's there, it's available, it's simple, it's easy. Any of these young members, they're probably already on Facebook, Twitter, and so on, and there's others that are out there now. I can't even say what they are. The grandkids are always showing me, geez, look at this, Papa, we're on, you know. Holy cow. They're interfacing, talking back and forth with their friends all the time. Make sure you make sure you have a website, and make sure somebody's in charge of keeping it updated. Don't have your lodge officers from 2009 be on your website. Okay, make sure it's current.
Unless it's still your lodge office.
Well, it could be, yeah, it's not very true. Okay. Now, how do you keep them? When I got elected to the Grand Line, we as officers go to what's called the Conference of Grand Masters. And it is the Grand Elected Lines, this year 64 different states and countries. Okay? You got all these people that are there that have been elected to represent their country or their state. Russia, Romania, Bulgaria, Germany, France, there were some South American countries, and British Columbia and Yukon, and from all the states. We do these trainings, just like this. And last year it was the state of Michigan, or the jurisdiction of Michigan, that put on this training about their 6-step program. And some of it was stolen from British Columbia. They've got the same thing, because they don't take candidates in, sign the petition, vote on them, and run them through. Okay? They're required to come to the dinners and events that take place. And during that time, while everybody's in lodge, a couple past masters sit outside and start instructing them as to what is going on inside, what this lodge, what Freemasonry is about and doing. And they're required to go to so many. Now, Michigan, it was 6. Got to go 6. But some of these guys are going almost a year before they can even submit a petition to be balloted on. And boy, they're eager. And Michigan, their membership has skyrocketed. Okay? But we've got to teach our new young members what it's all about, so we don't shock the daylights out of them when we get them in and throw them into a chair and then go, oh, don't worry about what's needed, just listen to the master, he'll tell you. Okay? I put this in here. Don't just coach. Anybody can coach. Mentor. Because that's why men are joining Masonry. They want to be around other men that are of like morale, like quality. We want to associate with each other because we know that we can trust everybody that's here. We don't worry about going to a lodge meeting and get stuck in the back by a brother. Most of the time. When you've got new members in your lodge, find out things about them. What's their wife's name? Do they have children? What are their children's names? Where do they work? What position do they hold at work? Try to remember those things. And when you meet them and are talking about them, ask them. You know, how's Rochelle doing?
Fantastic.
Good deal. You know, meet, talk, care about the others, and they'll turn around and care about you. We need to know the members we have. Young, middle, old. Find out what they do for occupation. You need a roof on your house? Guess what? Maybe there's a lodge member that is in the roofing business, or a plumber, or an electrician, or whatever. Hire that brother to come do your work for you. Talk to them. Mentor them about being involved as much as they can afford to be away from the family. The family is first and foremost. Always has been, always will be. Takes priority over anything we do masonry-wise. But that time needs to be quality time at the lodge and not just messing around and not accomplishing anything, because when a brother goes to a lodge and sits through an hour-and-a-half boring meeting and goes home, and guess what? Mama goes, what'd you do? I don't remember. I think we paid a few bills. Talked about it at this committee or that committee, and they read the minutes from the last meeting, even though they were approved before and posted outside. But we wasted 15 minutes reading those minutes again, so on and so on and so forth. they didn't enjoy being there, and guess what? The next time something comes up, Mama goes, hey, you know what? We could go do this tonight. Boom, they're gone. You lost them. You've got to keep them active. We've got to keep them involved. You know, your lodges, for the most part, help pay your expenses to come here. And your responsibility is to go back and talk to your lodge about the things you learned here. Ideas that you gained from being here. Concepts that the lodge can do that you heard something about and you go, well, that won't really work. But you know, if we kind of change it and go over here, boy, that's going to work good. Okay? That's your responsibility. Make those past masters that give you 5 minutes to make your presentation, clap, and then tell you to sit down and shut up. Make them listen to what you're going to have to say. Talk to them one-on-one about the things that you were impressed with and excited from here that you want the lodge to try. Make sure they listen to you so that all of a sudden it becomes their idea and then, boy, it's okay to do. But you gotta sell it. You gotta sell what you're doing back home. Otherwise, you wasted your time being here until you're master, because you won't have a chance to do anything until you are master. Okay? Okay, so now you got the past masters sitting on the sideline, and anything you introduce to them, we tried that once before, that didn't work, you know. It was a total failure. We wasted a lot of money, we wasted our time doing it. What do you think you're going to be able to do it again? Well, try again. My dad, we've been in the farm business all our lives, and he, in the cattle business, he always said, you know, son, all a steer can do is try. He's never going to succeed, but he'll keep trying. Make sure that your mentors, your coaches, the people that you're going to use to guide these new young members know what they're doing. That they've got the words down right in the cipher or in the standard work, and that they're not teaching the candidate, you know, the wrong words. Comprise, compose. I mean, it all looks the same in the cipher. Two different things. So make sure that your mentors, your coaches, are properly up to date on what they're teaching the candidates. Some of the rest of this you can read, you can take a look at. You need to travel. You need to be active as a lodge. You can't sit home and just go to your lodge all the time and do the things you're going to do and expect other lodges to come visit with you. You have to go visit with them. That obligates them to come visit with you. Okay, so we've got to travel. And why would we want to travel? So that we can pick up ideas of what other lodges are doing, their activities. Not just within our own district, but it's not that much farther to travel to the next district, not unless you're a way outlying area. Okay? So travel. Do the things that you need to do. First and foremost, we're a business. Okay, we're a fraternity. We're philanthropic, but we're a business. And we've quit thinking about ourselves as a business. And we need to get that mentality back. And we need to create business plans, we call them long-range plans, about how and what we're going to do within our lodge. And we need to keep them up to date and keep updating. Establish what your priorities are, set your goals, develop your plans, execute your plans as you approved them. Go back and talk to your lodge members about what you did and find out whether they liked it and whether they had any contact in the community about what it was they did. Did the community like it? Did they hate it? They never come back to it again. So why do it? Try something different. In Anacortes, we got an oyster run. My idea was Sam Roberts and I stopped in Ellensburg at a brewery, and this brewery had this beer. Oh, it's dark and I hate it, but he likes it. You turn it upside down and you know, into the glass. It was called Irish Death. What biker wouldn't want a glass of Irish Death? Okay? There isn't any in the taverns in Anacortes. We've got one member of our lodge. He's a game hunter. He's out getting the moose, elk, deer every year. Grind up and have moose tacos. Okay? Oh, they are good. Moose tacos and Irish Death. Advertise it on the street. You'll be packed with bikers wanting to try it. You know, they come in for the oysters and so on and so forth, but tell you what, they want something different. They don't want just the normal meals. They want to try something different. Okay, give them something different. Create things that you can do. Okay, so you can read what I put down for the summary. So let me ask you, what are you doing in your own lodges right now to keep your young members? What are you doing to attract young members? And how are you keeping your past masters active and involved in your lodges?
Keeping the young members in, you put them in chairs.
That's the standard.
Yeah. And with past masters, we drive them there. So.
The ones that aren't driving, the ones that don't use the excuse we don't drive at night anymore.
Yeah. So we drive a few brothers in, so that's been success. Well, we've got them, a couple coming in.
Okay. Other ideas?
Our lodge, Vancouver, we're non-dairy too. We've taken time to invite more of a family-style lodge where we have dinner as a family, the kids come, and the wife is there. We go and we open our meeting day, stay out, and then we go off session. The ladies come in and their kids come in. We have educational, we talk about different things. Past terms we've done masonry around the world, where dinner is a food from a certain region. And we go to this lodge and we talk about masonry in this region where the food was from. And we explain different things, and we allow people to ask questions, and that kept past masters and a lot of the older folks coming in. Well, to me they're older folks, but they were coming in and they were knowledge seekers. They want to know more about what's going on and where it's coming from. As for the younger members, we've gotten a lot into the family and stuff, so the younger members are coming in and they're bringing in their friends to hang out. They're being more involved and integrated into things. And more as a district, we've come up with more things that are family oriented, but we also have that kind of like the guys' night out, like Friday nights, from 4 till 7, I believe. We go out, we do Friday night pints. It's a hog club. You know, all the guys go out and we have a beer or two and we socialize. And we have events where we kind of just the brothers get out and do something and bond together. It's not like a old guy club, or like a young kid rap club where music is thumping and lights are flashing, and it just, you find the happy medium and you make it happen.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I mean, I've taken the approach that you've kind of touched on, where I have a bunch of really good friends and I would make opportunities to talk about masonry in front of them, whether it was grab another mason and strike up a conversation about what we do, and then that they're kind of eavesdropping in. They're not sure, can I hear this and whatnot. That caused them to ask questions, and And then it's like, hey, why don't you come to dinner before our meeting at this time? They show up, they talk to us, they show up to another meeting. It's kind of, it touches on the 6 initiation steps a little bit too. And then bam, they submitted a petition, and I usually take them around to some of the older members to get their signatures for references. I don't want to just whip mine out. But that way they get to know, they talk, get a little bit of mentorship even before they, you know, get initiated. And that seems to work so far. We've just done 3 entered apprentices in the last 2 months they're all less than 30 years old, and another one on the way next month. So it's working really well. I think, you know, what you're touching on for me personally. So I need to spread that throughout my lodge more in that approach.
Good.
We're growing at about the same rate as that. Initial attraction to start the relationship building is advertise and invite our before state and communication meals, and we make sure that they're good meals. We've had several young people and not necessarily young people come to our Bikes for Books breakfast fundraisers that we do once a month. We've been pretty successful with that, so we probably won't have any more of those breakfasts this year. It's because all of our 10 bikes are paid for. We're ready to give them out. But the new people that are being exposed to us as men and as Masons see what we're doing. And the kind of people we want to attract are those that are attracted to us. So, so far, it seems to be working. As far as the retention that you asked about, and we've been talking about this really all day in different ways, in different rooms. So many ways to engage some of the members that have already gone through the chairs, make them mentors, make them feel important, learn how to communicate with them better, let them know they still have so much to contribute to what we're doing. So I think speaking about today and what we're talking about right now, I've learned a whole lot today, and there's a whole lot that I need to take back to our lodge, and I'm pretty thankful for that.
Good. Anybody else?
I know Fall City Lodge, the last Wednesday of every month has cigar and scotch night at the Snoqualmie Casino, Wood Lounge. It's just every Wednesday, you know they're gonna be there, 7 o'clock. The only way I can find Frank to talk to him, because I know that's where he's gonna be.
Well, we have a different situation in my lodge in South Whitby and Langley, is that we don't have a lodge building. So we meet at church once a month, and which works well for us, but I don't think works too well for the community. So at least having anybody know that we exist, because we, you know. So I'm the newer member, but I'm the only one in the last year that's gone through all the degrees there. We have a great lodge and great guys. So my challenge is to how can we build awareness and get people involved without actually having a lodge building. So 2 things. One is I've started inviting the guys, and I opened this up to all Masons on Whidbey Island, was to come over to my house on Friday night for drinks, but then I found out I was competing with the Scotch Rite, so I had to figure that out. But, in Everett, but that was a great turnout, and it was guys who said, God, we should have done this like 8 years ago. I'm like, well, great, now we're doing it, let's get the word out, let's figure out how to make it work. The other one is having lunch on Fridays at China City, which is our Chinese restaurant. It's a small island, you know, one Chinese restaurant. But it's like, the point of those lunches on Fridays is to get the brothers out, but also to bring in people who could be interested as a way to meet the brothers. So if we know people who's interested, we invite them to come, have a Chinese lunch, talk, have fun, because we don't have the building. And until we get enough numbers in, we can't have the building. So we have to get creative about how we can do things around the community. So that's why I think I've heard a lot of great ideas here that I'm taking back to my lodge. But our challenge is that we don't have the beautiful lodge a lot of you guys have. We will.
As the chairman of membership development, I came up with a concept a couple of years ago. We started to roll out this year. We've got 2 lodges doing it, and it's starting to see some good success. We'll see the big turnout in my lodge at Burlington next quarter. What it is everyone's been talking about Bikes for Books. You all do Bikes for Books, or most of us do, right? But does anybody, by show of hands, do Bikes for Books for homeschool associations?
We've thought about it.
Okay. I'll give you an example. In Skagit County, there's 3 associations. In just one association, there's 156 families, or families. These are husbands and wives who made a choice that one parent would stay home to raise their children. So they're very family orientated. What groups do we have? Women's groups, children's groups. These are the ideal people that we want to tap that market, if you will, using that term. And what the best part about the homeschool association that you guys do is you call the association up, you let them know, we would like to go ahead and do this for your situation. We're doing it for this middle school, we're doing it for that middle school. And we know you guys kind of get left out sometimes in left fields. You know, you get invited on the field trips when the schools go, because that's what happens. They actually get invited with the other schools, but they don't have their own school to have a presentation. So you hold the presentation at your lodge, at your stated meeting. Invite them to dinner, do a cheap spaghetti meal so it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, and you invite the whole families, and the raffle will be done there. And they gotta be present to win the bike. So if they're called, but they're not there, it's gonna go to the next person. Now you got 150 families, that means you got on average, in just that 156 one that we were looking at, a demographic, they're almost all of them are married, except for I think it was less than a dozen of the families. So that's 148 men, men that are just, you know, a market ready to get tapped into. So think about that, and if you guys want to help roll something like that out, just contact us. We'll be more glad to come show you how to do it.
Although we had our table lodge, I got a whole page of activities that we could do on question number 1. But it was building on the Bikes for Books. It was not just handing out the bikes, but then having a community event where the Masons come together and help the kids, their families, like repair. Like for instance, like the whole goal is like make sure the tires are, if someone has a flat tire, have a flat tire clinic where families can drive in on a Saturday or something and we're there fixing flat tires, or maybe you team up with a local bike shop and they help out, but there's people that do it, so you can figure out, and you can maybe find out who might be in need of a new bike. It was the way I saw it, to take it on the other side and say, wow, okay, instead of just handing them out, let's also get involved in just the community afterwards. And a flat tire clinic seemed to be a great way to get a lot of families to come around and do that. So I thought that was a really, really interesting idea.
Others? Anybody have any other ideas? I mean, that's why we're here. Put your thinking caps on. There isn't any idea that you can bring up that anybody in here is going to laugh at and say, boy, that was stupid. Because you know what? Some of the dumbest things that have been brought up are some of the most successful programs we have. And guess what? Most of them happen from our wives. They brought up, and the first thing you go, oh, geez, you don't know what you're talking about. And then when you get that, you know, thing off your head that says you're a dunce, and you go, you know, that might really work. Of course, you don't want to go tell her that it was a good idea for her. You know, those things, nothing is stupid. And you can get ideas. When I was young, I loved to go on cattleman tours. And back then, a lot of cattle, so you tour these various farms that had cattle. And you're always picking up little things, here and there from each place. Now, exactly what they do, that wouldn't work at my place. But there's a piece of it, a little tiny piece of it that would. And you pick up the idea, and then you start thinking about, how do I incorporate this at my place and make it work? Okay? So you pick up little things. You think about them, you make them into your own. And there's nothing that says that you can't copyright anybody else, because the best thing that we do is we steal from each other all the time. Any other? Yes, sir.
We have a couple of groups around town, hospitality house. One of them happens to be for recovering addicts or what have you. But in specific, we have another group. It's a charity type organization just for kids who probably don't have 3 meals a day. And they only open up from certain hours. I think it's from 12 o'clock, and then they shut their doors at 7. But they're based on charity. So what they do is they try to get somebody to commit to go in and serve food for them. They open the doors. So I had done it myself, and I took my family members to do it, but then I stopped and I thought about it, because they've got a lot of gaps during the week where they just don't have enough people volunteering to do it. So what I was thinking about doing is trying to see if the lodge would dedicate one day a month, and it takes 4 people to run the kitchen, but it's donations, so you have to, and it can be as simple as, you know, buying 10 pizzas. But these are kids who are very impressionable. You know, they're at a time in their life where either stuff at home isn't going very well, but they're younger. So to be exposed to, you know, some Masons at that early age could kind of plant that seed for later on in their life, you know, to look into Masonry.
Good point. You all are going to see something come out this fall that our jurisdiction is going to work on. It's really innovative, and it hits along what he said. But it's going to be pretty spectacular. But it's going to be dealing with troubled kids.
I wanted to kind of go a little different angle here, and that's, you know, our lodge right now is, we're definitely in a rebuilding mode right now, and it's kind of, I'm trying to find ways to, how do you bring somebody into a troubled lodge? You know, how do you sell that to somebody? Hey, you want to come be part of our problem here? And the flip side of that, though, I've found over the last 2 years, that we haven't had any new membership at all, and we've lost a lot of our proficiency in doing degrees. So it's catch-22 now. Not bringing people in, haven't been practicing, and now we're not able to even do our own degree work. We have to bring other people in to help out, and it's not been a very good example. And I'm trying to find out ways to fix the problem.
So think about this. So when you first said it, first thought in my mind was not how you bring them into your troubled lodges going downhill. How about being the solution to turning our lodge around? Because we're starting to make inroads into all these other things like we used to do. And these are all the philanthropic things that we do. And guess what? You'd be on the ground floor as we really make this thing roll.
We've had success with that at Concordia. We're rebuilding as well. And that is exactly what we tell a lot of our new members and that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And just honest with them, you know, we've got some rebuilding going on, but what's cool about it is we've got some new energy going, and that excitement is building, and they get right on board with that. I'm one of them.
And it is about, it's how you word it. Is the glass half full or half empty? What makes you feel better? Having the glass half full of a drink, or it being half empty on a drink?
Mine pushed is kind of along the same lines as turmoil in the lodge, and it's tough to bring people in knowing that first thing they're going to see is the turmoil. And we actually had an incident at dinner before a first degree initiation where one brother was going off on another brother about his attendance, and yeah, it was really embarrassing, and you kind of had to take the guy aside and say, hey, this isn't a normal thing, it's just like any other organization. We have disagreements, but it was also taking the brother's side and saying, dude, you know, this is what you're showing. This first, you know, view of us as brothers are an argument. How's he going to feel? How's he going to, you know, accept this? So there's a lot of other things to look at too.
Create a rebuilding committee.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to rebuild our lodge. Assign different people to it from different age brackets. Get a half dozen brothers on it. Charge them with the ways that you're going to make these changes occur. You can't do it by yourself because that's too slow. But get people active, involved. So, Mike?
We watched that happen last year and continue to watch it grow in District 9 with one particular lodge that had some kind of conflicts. And we had a real leader step up, past Grand Master, and a past master of that lodge 50 years before, leave his home in California and commit to a year as the master of the lodge. And what happened, besides bringing back some of the members to his lodge, the whole district, and a lot of District 8, and a lot of District 10 supported that lodge. Every first Tuesday of every month, we knew we were going to go to a particular lodge, and we filled it. And he is not there this year. We have a new master, and the numbers aren't quite there, but that lodge is rebuilding. So it can be done. The key, I think, is leadership and getting certain key people to commit to that lodge and to their obligation.
The first thing that had to happen is the poison that had destroyed that lodge had to be told to be gone. Okay? And then the rebuilding can start. And it was the wish of a past Grand Master, that's now deceased, to this other past Grand Master from our district. I want you to take charge of this lodge, your home lodge, and resurrect it. And boy, he did. So, it can be done. Of course, it's a lot easier to resurrect a lodge when it's a past Grand Master who's doing it, but it can be done. I mean, this guy committed. He moved back from California, and he would fly back and forth. And he attended every lodge in the district. Every lodge stated meeting in the district, he attended. Then he went to the other district. And he went to the other district. And he was attending lodges and just being a good brother. And all of a sudden, more and more people started coming, getting involved. Next thing you know, you've got some new young members, and you've got a little excitement. You've got some old past masters that are there. This building, it's still got a long ways to go. It's nothing fixed by any means. But there has to be a place you start. And not everybody can have past Grand Masters going to step up and do that. So, yes, sir.
Well, I think in terms of these troubled lodges or that are in turmoil, your younger generation that's going to join, they're not afraid to work and jump in and help out. I mean, it's I live in Vancouver, but I was told Woodland really needs help, Woodland Kalama Lodge, so that's where I went. And it's 30 miles away versus 5 miles away for the Vancouver Center. And I love that I get to be a part of regrowing that and helping it expand, because I learned right alongside these guys who've been in for 40, 50 years that they're having to rethink how they do things and rethink, what Masons are to them now at this point in time. And that's cool. It's cool to see them learn. It's cool to have them teach me the old ways and the old stuff, and kind of meets in the middle. It kind of provides the generational gap, or bridges the generational gap. And so the ones we're going to get to join, they aren't afraid to see the turmoil and get involved. And if they are, they're probably not necessarily the character we're looking for anyway.
Good. Okay, thank you all for coming